Hey guys, Josh here from Sportitude Running. It's shoe review time and we're going to be talking all things Max Cushion Carbon Plate Bondi X from Hoka. This shoe has just landed October 1 in our warehouse and I am extremely excited to give my overview and review on this shoe because I've been running in my pair now for around 4 to 6 weeks. I've put in just over 100 kilometers in these and I have loved every single one of those Ks. So in today's review, we're going to talk about where this shoe sits, why it even exists, compare it to the Bondi 7s, give you all the information that you need at home to, who knows, potentially throw this into your shoe rotation. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Okay guys, before we dive into the Bondi X, let's touch on the specs on this shoe. For a men's size 9, we're talking around 301 grams, and for a women's size 7, we're just under 260 grams. And this shoe here is not a lightweight shoe, it's a max cushion shoe. However, it does have that full-length carbon plate. So I'll dial into all the specs and details with this shoe today, and at the end of my review, I'll probably profile the runner that should be considering this shoe. So first thing we'll talk about is the outsole first. So if I flip it upside down, highlighted with the orange rubber, you can see that Hoka strategically placed that rubber in those higher wearing areas. So the heel, obviously for that heel striker coming down underneath the body. As you come through to the forefoot, that rubber sort of covers that forefoot area to provide an element of protection as well. And as you see with regards to the Bondi 7 or my Bondi 7s through here, not too dissimilar. We've got pretty similar coverage with regards to the outsole and the heel on the forefoot. And right through the middle here, there's that exposed EVA. And with that play on the X for Hoka, you can see the X in those little decoupled lines. Right through there, you'll be able to get a bit of a glimpse of the carbon plate. Now to the midsole, we have a max cushion shoe, as I said in the intro. So looking from the outside, you can see through here, it looks like an incredibly high stack, higher than the regulations of 40 millimeters, but however, it is a 33 mil heel and a 28 mil forefoot for a variance of 5 mil. Comparing that to the Bondi 7, which is a 33 heel, and a 29 mil forefoot. So there's only 1 mil variance in the forefoot. And the major reason that Hoka have just dropped it by 1 mil through to the forefoot is to get full benefit of that carbon plate, which we'll touch on in 2 ticks, because the cushioning system is Hoka's just traditional EVA foam. It's not overcomplicated. I wouldn't say it's a super foam, but it's certainly nice and light and really plush underneath the body. The carbon plate itself, running from the heel to the forefoot, it's actually pushed back a little bit earlier. So the actual dip in that carbon plate starts back a little bit more towards the midfoot. However, when you're comparing it to most of the other carbon plate shoes on the market, that carbon plate starts to dip a little bit later on. Now, the main reason that is the case is because this shoe here isn't designed to go crazy fast. You can still push the pace in it. You can still do some tempo runs, but it's not a shoe that's sitting here competing against your Alpha Flies or your Endorphin Pros, your RC Elites from New Balance, or your Hyperion Elites from Brooks. This shoe here isn't designed to go as fast as those shoes. So therefore, the carbon plate starting to drop its angle a little bit more further back towards the midfoot is to totally make the experience for that runner more seamless throughout the whole gait cycle, because the contact time is going to be a little bit higher, so they need to provide a slightly more stable ride through the whole transition of the gait cycle. Flipping to the medial side, there's nothing there that's going to suggest it's a guidance shoe. The carbon plate is going to offer a little bit of torsional stability through the midfoot region, so when you're going through mid-stance, you'll find that before you get to that engagement part of the carbon plate, you will feel stable on top of this midsole, and obviously because it's a pretty generous surface area as well, being a lot of shoe underneath your foot. Coming through to the upper of this shoe. Now, for me, being almost identical in weight, it's only a couple of grams difference between the Bondi 7 and the Bondi X. Bondi X being 300 grams and the Bondi 7 being 303 grams. For me, it's really hard to depict where that weight reduction comes from. It could be a little bit less of the outsole through the midsection. It could be the upper as well. But for me, I do believe it is in things like the tongue and the execution of that slightly more breathable upper. So With your race day shoes or your tempo shoes, obviously there's considerable of weight reduction given into the upper. This still feels a bit like a traditional shoe up top. When I mean by traditional shoe, I'm talking about more of a lockdown experience through the upper. So for me, I really like this shoe. It's got a gusseted tongue, so it really gives you that nice lockdown over the saddle, over your arch region. It breathes nicely through the forefoot, and mainly for me, the breathability comes through that thinner tongue, so you get plenty of ventilation through your arch region of this shoe. Coming back to the heel counter, as we touched on a minute ago with the stack height, it does look like a really high stack, but being 33 mil, you actually sit underneath the wall of this midsole as it wraps up around that heel counter. So you sit inside the midsole. So if you're picturing your foot sitting inside your shoe, you're going to have a little bit more of a wrap around the base of your calcaneus or your heel. So sitting in the midsole and also with an internal heel counter, you get a really nice, secure and stable fit and feel underneath the base of your heel. So when your foot comes down, you're going to get the compression from the ground up, but also a nice stable grab around the base of your heel as well, which is a fantastic sort of engineering execution there by Hoka. The other thing too I really like is this little lining. Again, brands sometimes overdo it, and in this shoe I do believe they have got it absolutely perfect. A little bit of memory foam inside that lining, and for me, I didn't get any blisters from the first run. I've done it with thick socks, thin socks, Injinji, Steigans. I've ran in them all, and this shoe provided a really comfortable feel through the upper on every single run. Okay, guys, now let's talk about the runner that should be considering this shoe. I've gone over the specs of this shoe, what it's all about with that carbon plate and the stack heights. I do believe there has been a gap in the market now for the best part of 5 years where we've seen that carbon plate phenomenon now where brands are making lighter, faster, more snappy, responsive shoes. And it is so exciting. And it's so exciting for a lot of runners out there that are really chasing some seriously fast times. However, that runner that, you know, is looking to run a little bit faster, might be doing his marathons or half marathons, him or her, sorry, in a Bondi or a shoe like a Clifton or a New Balance More, that just needs that element of support and protection, but just can't get along with a lighter weight, minimalistic shoe with either a nylon plate or a carbon plate, and they feel like they're missing out. Well, you can step into this shoe if that is you, and you will experience a pretty similar feel to what those other runners are getting out of their carbon plate shoes. It is slightly heavier than the other carbon plate shoes, which I touched on. However, it's going to be stable and you're going to get that nice, snappy, propulsive feel through the forefoot. I have used this shoe for everything from my easy day runs. I've run up to 17 Ks in this little guy and it was pure joy the whole time. I've done some progressive runs where I've pushed the pace, and for me I got up to around about 4:15s and held that for about 5 to 6 kilometers, and again it felt comfortable on the foot. It wouldn't be a shoe that I would be grabbing for me personally to go out and run a 5K PB or a 10K BB, but I would certainly grab this if I was looking at maybe doing an ultra on the roads, or I might have been looking to push those longer runs out and my body was a wee bit sore. The other market I think which will pick this up is your Ironman athletes, the guys out there doing either half Ironmans or full Ironmans, and have potentially been again running in, you know, really cushioned, supportive shoes and just feel like they're missing out. They want a little bit more. Put yourself in the Bondi X and you'll notice that there is a little bit of pushback with that carbon plate. I really like what Hoka are doing in this space. It is a shoe that's going to sit alone. The only other shoe that I can think of that's going to compete against this is the Super Comp Trainer from New Balance, which is coming out in a few months now. So it's going to be good to see how that shoe compares to the Bondi X, but I have been a massive fan of this shoe. I've loved every kilometer in it. And I've just looking forward to putting some more Ks in a pair, that's for sure. Now guys, if you've got any questions or comments about this shoe, drop it in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please hit the red button, stay notified, and we'll keep pumping out these shoe reviews for you, the running community, all over the world. So until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another, happy running, and we'll see you out on the road. Take care.